I believe that leadership requires us to show up with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm requires energy.
Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast, a Ben Kinney training production, where we will discuss the concepts of health, wealth, leadership, and legacy. My name is Chad Himes, and I am joined by my friend Bob Stewart. Bob, what's our word for today?
Chad, today's word is energy.
Well, Bob, I think you just gave away the whole episode right there, so we're probably done.
Bye, Chad.
All right. No, there's a lot more to it. You had the opportunity to sit down with Ben and talk about energy, and now that's your word you're sharing with everybody. Tell us a little bit more about what to expect.
I think, and I even asked this question inside of the discussion, but most of us think about energy as just our physical energy, right? Our ability to get to work, get up, get out of bed, get dressed, get to work, like kind of be there moving throughout the day. But Ben takes a more holistic look at energy. And so it's a great discussion. You guys kind of pay attention to that holistic look that we take at energy. And there might even be a plan in here for you to up your energy.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to this conversation that you had with Ben and that 15-point plan that you're hinting at that Ben will cover. So let's jump to this conversation that you shared with Ben.
Ben, so I asked you what you'd like to talk about today, and you told me you want to talk about energy. So as we get started here talking about energy, just for everybody, what bucket would this fall into?
Well, it's easy to assume that we're talking about health, but it affects how much money we're going to make in our life. It affects how we show up as a leader at home and in our business. And I think it also affects how we're going to be remembered. I believe that leadership requires us to show up with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm requires energy. And I think our home life requires that. And if we want to become healthier, we have to have that. If we want to build wealth, we got to have the energy to sustain. So energy, right? Mark Twain said, what is a man without energy? Nothing. Nothing at all.
I mean, you're talking about physical energy here, right? Like my ability to stand up and walk down the hall.
I'm talking about physical energy. I'm talking about emotional energy. I'm talking about mental energy. I'm talking about spiritual energy. I'm talking about our ability to work at peak performance the vast majority of the time.
As long as I've known you, I feel like, and you've gotten better at this over the years, but I feel like you're a pretty even dude, right? Like you're rarely really high. I don't know if I've ever seen you really low. Maybe you're just good at hiding it, or maybe you have figured out how to avoid those, massive peaks and valleys. Why do you seem to come off so kind of even?
I think I'm visually, Bob, a more level individual, but it doesn't mean that I always show up with the same level of energy. In fact, often I feel drained. And I'm a sprinter. Like even in high school, I was kind of a chubby sprinter, but I could run pretty fast.
Don't try to stop him.
I could sprint, and at work I can sprint a lot. However, at the end of the day, if I don't have good energy and I force myself to show up and sprint at work, I get home and I have none left. Which means my dog doesn't get walked, I don't exercise, I make bad food choices, right? I don't hang out with friends or family, I recluse. That's what I do. So I have high times when I have too much energy. I would call that manic, right? And I have low times where you'd say I was literally depressed. And I go through that process. One of my goals, Bob, is to mitigate how high my highs are, because those are not sustainable. You can't sprint forever, right? And how low my lows are. And our job in life and leadership is to mitigate that. How do we come up with this band of this safe area that's actually maintainable?
And productive, right? You're never, when you're really high or really low, you're less productive in those times.
If we were thinking about walking, Chad makes us walk a marathon or something, right? I could walk one little tiny baby step at a time, and I could probably go the entire 26 miles, but they'd shut the race down. It would get dark, and we'd be 3 days later before I crossed the finish line.
Right.
I could also start and sprint, and I'd be in front of everybody, but by a quarter mile down, I'll be puking, right? What is our maintainable, sustainable pace? And what can we do to control our physical energy, our mental energy, our emotional energy, and our spiritual energy?
All right. Well, so if that's the case, we're talking about what we can do to control it. I guess we have to think about like what causes our energy to crash.
I don't know what causes your energy to crash, Bob, but I know that if I didn't sleep well last night, I don't show up with great energy. I know that if I don't eat well, if I don't eat at all, if I eat too much at lunch, if I don't hydrate, if I have too much caffeine, if I don't exercise, if I'm not listening to something positive, if I had a bad interaction with an employee or with a friend or a family member, those are all things that put downward pressure on my emotional energy, on my physical energy, right? My spiritual energy and my mental energy.
Okay. What causes your energy to rise then?
When I start my day with a purpose, when I start my day with a plan, when I stick to my plan, when I exercise, when I eat right, when I hydrate, when I'm around positive people, right? When I leave at a specific time, when I get enough sleep, when I take naps on the weekends, right? Like when I do these things, those cause me to lift up my energy. Most people say that you manage your energy by taking vacations. There's no 1 or 2 week a year vacation that's going to improve your performance annually, right? What you really need is you need intermittent breaks every 90 minutes of the day, all day. Every 90 minutes, are you willing to stop and hydrate, take a walk, listen to something, read something, eat a snack, right? Jump up and down, like anything. Just leave what you're doing. If you do, you actually can create sustainable energy where at the end of the day, you still have some left for your honey bunny. You still have some left for your children. You still have some left for your dog. You still have some left to work out. You have some left at the end of the day.
All right, Ben. So what is that thing? Like, what are you doing to make sure you're not too high, you're not too low, and you're kind of staying in that productive band?
Bob, we create models and systems because none of us are savants. Like most of us don't have all these things in life figured out. I started asking myself the question once, why am I stuck in this rut? Why am I stressed out? Why am I less productive? Right? What can I do to get out of these ruts? In addition, Bob, I started coaching people. And when I was coaching people, I would end up speaking to somebody who was going through a substance issue, who was going through a divorce, who was going through abuse, that was going through depression, that was going through something that I was not qualified to help them with, but I was their friend, so I was willing to. And I started making a list of things that I thought they could do every single day to get out of the rut. And what I noticed over time was in the same month, I was talking to somebody going through a divorce, obviously super depressed. I was talking to somebody else that had an addiction to alcohol, right? I was talking to somebody else that had another big life issue going on, just a death, something like that, right? And I realized that I was giving them the same list. And it was actually the things that I was purposeful about when I was operating at peak performance. So I actually sat down once and I just made a list of the things that I wanted people to do every single day. And I told them that if they did one, they got a point. And if they did a different one, they got another point. And if they did a different one, they got another point. And I came up with a total of 15 things. So the model and system that we're talking about, I call it my 15-point plan. It's a 15-point plan to get out of a rut, to get out of depression, to get your energy, to maintain your energy, to solve whatever problem you're in, right? And it's focusing on things you can control. And there are 15 very specific elements that if you do on a regular basis, you're going to be at peak performance. You don't ever get to 15, or you don't get to 15 every single day. That's not sustainable. But I noticed that when I operate in that 12 to 15 range, I'm good. When I start looking at my life when I'm feeling depressed or sad or low energy or whatever, and I start counting them up, I realize that I'm operating on a super low level. I'm probably somewhere between 5 and 10.
Some days you're a winner, some days you're a loser.
Yeah. Some days. Yeah.
Do you want to go through that plan a little bit? Give me some of those things. First off, we have this available for people to find. They can go to winmakegive.com/resources if they want to find and download this 15-point plan. Give me just a couple of the things that are on there that have been, extra impactful for you.
I'll actually give them all to you.
Oh, here it is.
I think it's worthwhile to think about. And then on winmakegive.com, you can download the tracker. And it's just a simple paper form where they can put 1 point for each one of the things they do until they make it a habit. So number 1, exercise daily. See, exercise raises our endorphins. Whether it's I'm going to buy a Fitbit and get a certain amount of steps in, I'm going to run, or I'm going to do some sort of a workout. I'm going to do 100 push-ups or whatever that might be, right? Even if it's one push-up 100 times, right? Exercise daily. I don't think you need to do an Ironman every day. It could be 15 minutes, right? Or it could be 30 minutes. It could be 15 minutes twice a day, right? It's something. And if you start your day with it, you're probably going to have a better morning. Number 2, don't drink calories. It slows you down, depresses you, especially when it's alcohol. Even alcohol on the weekends or wine, 1 glass of wine at night, it actually is a depressive. It's going to slow you down and doesn't help you get out of a rut. So for me, it was a rule. How do I just cut out calories? No drinking calories. That could be tea or soda water or, something else. And I'd make an exception if it was a protein shake or something like that, like a meal replacement. But number 2, you get 1 point for that. Number 3, you don't sleep too much, Bob, and you don't sleep too little.
So you find that sweet spot for yourself. What is that for you? 6-7 hours?
Yeah, probably. If I stay up too late, I try to get up still at the same time. Because at a certain point, you're going to be tired and you're going to fall asleep early again. If you allow yourself to stay up late and then you wake up again 8 hours later or 10 hours later, you actually come in too groggy. You got to force yourself into these habits. Number 3. Okay, number 4, never skip meals. It makes you grumpy. It gives you weak willpower. If you want to be more specific, use an app and track your calories. Have snacks on a regular basis. You don't want to ever use the excuse that you're hangry. It causes your energy to go up and go down, scientifically proven, blood sugar up, blood sugar down. It'll cause crashes. Don't do it. Next, never allow negativity around you. News, movies, or people, get rid of the loser slime that's dragging you down, stressing you out, or ruining your mindset. If the news does that, if scary movies does that, if certain people in your life, get away from them if you can, right? I was able to block out calls from a drunk mother. If I can do that, you can get away from the negative people in your life. Next, journal. Take a few minutes every day or night and just write down what happened. What I like to do is I like to write about my day and what my priorities are and what I accomplished and what my vision for winning tomorrow looks like, and it takes 5 minutes. Next, pray. Even if you don't believe in God, take some time to just pray about something. Get it out. Just have a conversation. Even if you're saying, I'm super grateful today for these things. Say what you're grateful for. You can't be grateful and angry at the same time. You can do it as a family, Bob, when you're at dinner with your kids, right? You just go around the table and say, what are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for? Jay Papazan taught me this. Like, how do you create gratitude? In fact, we do it every single day in our company huddle. When we're done doing our role playing and practicing or talking, the next thing we talk about before we end the meeting, what are you grateful for? Tell me one thing you're grateful for. The first day, it's like, I'm grateful for the sun and I'm grateful for my mom. And after doing it for years and years, you're like, you know what? Today I was walking in the store and somebody held the door for me. And then they looked and they smiled and they said, how are you? And I could tell they were actually listening and they actually cared. And it just made me start my day awesome. You search for different things, right? So right now we're up to 8 different points. And if you did each one of those things, you have 8 points for the day. That's not enough for us. So next, review your written goals daily. On a whiteboard, a vision board, you'll achieve much more in life if you see these things all the time. Save them as the screensaver on your phone. Look through, what are you trying to accomplish?
I've been through your world. I mean, you have them everywhere.
Yeah. Hanging in my bedroom, on my phone in my notes, on my phone as my screensaver, right? All around. Have your goals written and visual, and just take a second. Why am I doing this? Right? When you start feeling like you're in the rut, it's probably because you've lost an attachment to the purpose. Like, why am I actually doing this? Next, find something to laugh at. Jokes, comedy, podcasts. Call that one friend of yours that whenever you talk, you always laugh. We always have a couple of those people, right? Do something that laughs. And if you have to, Bob, you've seen me do it in front of thousands of people.
Bring that up. Yeah, just laugh. Like, you just laugh for 30 seconds.
Yeah, we will have our whole company or an audience of 1,000 people literally laugh for 30 seconds for no reason. It completely, when you're done, you actually feel the difference in your mood and your energy.
In your head.
Yeah, you're a different person when you do that. Next, have some time set aside for personal growth. Try to learn something new every single day. Read a book, listen to this podcast. Thank you all for doing that, right? Watch one of our YouTube videos, watch somebody else's. Basically, can you spend 15 minutes once or twice or 3 times a day growing yourself?
The answer is always yes, by the way.
It is.
You do have that time.
We don't have 45 minutes, but we always have 3 15-minute blocks. Isn't that weird, right? Do a hobby every day. Like, what is it that you could do at home that's not kid-related, it's not spouse-related, it's not work-related. It is something that gives you joy. Maybe you're going to play Clash of Clans, right? Or you're going to
smack a golf ball around in the backyard.
Or, throw a basketball at something, or clean something, or just research, that kind of thing. Next, focus on others. Volunteer, donate, help friends, anything you can do to get your mind off yourself or work. You ever notice that when you get out of a meeting and you're coaching somebody, you feel lifted up just as much as them, right? Because you make it about somebody else. That's focusing on others. Next, protect and limit your alone time. People that are in a rut and they isolate completely end up getting more and more depressed. Also, people that leave from work and go straight to their kids and straight to their spouse and they have no alone time, right, get in the same problem. They have no time to be them and reflect. Get up a little bit earlier, spend 15 minutes, like do one of these other things that are on the list.
Say, if you literally have no alone time, how are you going to do many of these things, right?
Yeah.
So you have to protect that time.
Yeah, so you kind of get a double point on that if you're going to go walk for 15 minutes or exercise or do a hobby, right? It's kind of an easy point. And then pick an amount of hours that you're not going to work more than. I try to limit my work hours to being when I'm at the office. I don't even bring my laptop in my house. I don't bring it in my home on the weekends. Not that I don't research work, I don't think about things, or I won't take a call. But in general, how do I limit the amount of hours that I'm committing to this one thing in my life called work? When you add up each one of these things, it equals 15. Each one counts as a point. Write your total points down each and every single day, and rank how you felt that day on a scale of 1 to 10. So at the end of the day, Bob, you're like, hey, I got 13 points. Just down below there on the ranking sheet that I'm giving you, just write down how do you feel? Well, I felt like today was an 8. Okay. Compare that to some of the days that you felt like you were a 5. How many points did you get? When you create a habit of following the 15-point plan, you literally can break bad habits. You can get out of depression. You can get your business to the new level. It is a very simple system that I'd encourage you to live above 11 points a day, where you're going to have a high, great energy life where you're getting 12 to 15 points on a consistent basis. I challenge you, if you're listening to this here, to go here, download the plan, do it for 30 days.
Do it for one day.
Right? Do it for one day.
And then 2 days. And then
at the end of 30 days, if your life isn't better, if you aren't feeling more consistent in your energy, if you're not happy, we'll give you all your money back.
Yeah, full refund.
We'll give you 10 times what you paid for this podcast in cash.
Awesome.
That's awesome, because we know it's going to work.
Love it. So managing our energy, why is energy important? How to stay consistent with your energy. It's good stuff, Ben. And I'm not surprised, again, that you have a system and a model for this.
Create a system, create a model for everything. You don't have to use mine, Bob, but you do have to have one. Because if what's going on in your life isn't working, that's on you. Pick one. I'm just telling you that mine's working. Mine's helped a lot of people. I hope you give it a try.
Bob, that was a great conversation you had with Ben. I'm glad I got to hear that. and I hope everybody out there is just as excited about it. Give us your aha hearing the conversation again.
I'm convinced Ben Kinney plans his bathroom breaks. This guy has a system or a model for everything. And I think that's been my aha before on one of our episodes. But there's certain things that, look, that's going to be my aha every single time that inside of one of these discussions, he brings out a model or a plan where I'm like, that it had never occurred to me to make that look, I think a lot of people have a plan for keeping your energy up through exercise but he's got this this holistic approach, right? To just being a better version of myself. And it all starts with making sure that I'm operating at, full capacity with all my faculties in place and that they're optimized. So I don't know. I'm blown away by another system or model this guy gives that's really simplified and doesn't make it feel like I couldn't do that thing,
It's amazing, and we're going to share that system model with you, as Ben mentioned on the call already. The thing that amazed me hearing you have that conversation is, once again, it's not just one area. Ben might be talking to us, and we look to him as a business leader. Yet it ends up being talked about our physical conditioning, our marriage, our mental situation. All of these lessons that he shares are not limited to just one small focus, are they, Bob?
No, I mean, you don't live your life in these silos, right? These things all bleed over into one another. And so it's not a surprise that somebody that reaches this really high level of performance like Ben has, it's not a surprise to me that he's looking at these as a holistic approach to this stuff, right? Because they all bleed into each other, and you have to make sure that you've got the energy to sustain your business, your marriage, your health, right? All these things. So
health, wealth, leadership, and
legacy. Yeah,
there you go. All right, folks, if you want to get Ben's 15-point plan that he talked about, just visit winmakegive.com, click on resources, and you'll have access to it. We're sharing that with you here today, just like we're sharing easy access to the podcast at winmakegive.com. Make sure you're sharing it with other people. And if you aren't subscribed, we ask that you subscribe wherever it is you're getting your podcast feed from. Get out there, get your energy up, and remember, until the next time we speak, do good.